How's it going, everybody? In this video, I wanted to answer a question or questions that I commonly receive via email from people that are studying for different certifications. And the most common question I get is, how did I study for my CCIE? What was your method? And so I decided, instead of answering this question one by one for everybody that asked, I figured I'd just shoot a quick video and basically break down what it was and how it was that I went about studying for this epic certification. Because at the end of the day, my method to approaching the lab may have been different than your approach to passing the lab or your approach to studying for the lab. So if you're not sure what the CCIE is, this is why I have you at the landing page of the CCIE certification. Um, it has been around for almost 25 years, if you didn't already know that. It came out in 1993. It was originally referred to as the Top Gun Cisco certification because of the fact that John Chambers, who was the person that actually created the CCIE program, he wanted to basically have a certification program that picked up where other vendor certifications left off. That was his reason for this particular track. And if you didn't know this, the certification was started in San Jose, California, which is Cisco headquarters. And the door to the CCIE room when you walk in to take your lab is 1024. So the lab itself has the very first CCIE number. The very first real CCIE was Stuart Biggs. Stuart Biggs was a Cisco employee. He had 1025. And then the second CCIE was a non-Cisco employee. His name is Terry Slattery, and he is 1026. From then on, it has progressed up until up and beyond my number. There's actually people that are in that I know that have passed recently, that passed after I took my test. And I'm 50693. I have a friend of mine who's 51089, 51060. I'm not gonna rattle off all the numbers that I know of, but those are some personal friends of mine. 50640. So those are some guys that I'm personally friends with that have passed the test recently. So that's where we sit with that. Now, when it comes to actually studying for your CCIE, this is one of those certifications where most people don't attempt it just because of the sheer amount of time and effort that is needed to prepare for it. I mean, you're talking a test that basically, once you have it, you are then considered to be the elite of the elite inside of the IT world. And the certification is two parts, if you didn't already know this. A written exam, which is between 90 and 110 questions in a 2-hour time frame. And then you have the lab exam, which is taken at a Cisco location. I know that there's a location in San Jose. My location where I've taken it is in RTP, or Raleigh, North Carolina. Then you have locations in, say, Brussels, Belgium. I think there's one in India, in Bangalore, if I'm not mistaken. And so they have locations all over the world that you can take your test depending on where you are geographically. So that's just a little history on the CCIE if you weren't sure of what you were actually getting yourself into. And these are the current tracks over here: route switch, collaboration, data center, security, service provider, wireless, and they have the CCD, which is the design expert exam. I currently am working on my security CCIE and kind of sort of working on my CCDE. No time frame as to when this guy will get knocked out though. And I'd kind of like to do wireless as well and service provider. I'd like to do collaboration, but I'm not much of a voice guy. No real intention of actually knocking that guy out. And data center, they're actually in the process of just recently, I think it was a week ago, the time of this recording. It's November 27th. Data center is being refreshed in summer of 2016. So I think July, something like that. End of July, I believe, is when they're actually kicking it off. So they're doing a refresh for data center, and quite frankly, data center equipment is just way too stinking expensive for me to try to even go after it. And I know I've made a comment about the price of data center equipment in the past, so I decided that it would have been easier to not attack it just yet. Maybe down the road. I don't do a whole lot of data center stuff as it is right now, so it really doesn't make much of a difference. So that's what's going on. So let's get to the meat and potatoes of what I'm actually here to talk about. So I know you guys like to listen to me, so let's get into the actual details. So CCIE, what would you do? How did I go about tackling it? Well, first and foremost, you have to have, I wouldn't say you have to, I would recommend a CCNP level of understanding to begin with if you're tackling CCIE. This way here, you would at least have an idea of most of the technologies that are going to be on the CCIE blueprint. Not everything, but most of them. So CCNP is, I would definitely say, is a solid prerequisite. There actually is no prerequisite, as you can see. I'm not sure if it's actually listed here. Actually, let's click on route switch. Let's see here. Prerequisites. There are no formal prerequisites for. Oh, let's not click there for the CCIE certification. Unlike the Juniper expert level exam, you have to go through the entire hierarchy of certification. Here, CCIE was the very first certification Cisco came out with, and so yeah, you'd have to go through their track. CCIE, not required, but it is recommended to have 5 years of experience, if not more, to have your CCIE. So that's what's up with that. It is currently in place that you would have to pass the written exam, which the written exam is actually getting updated with new and emerging technologies in July of next year, which is kind of cool. And then you have the written exam, then you have your lab exam. So I studied for the written exam separately from the lab because the written from the lab, simply for the fact that I chose to use the version 4 format to approach the lab from. So I learned the written, then I learned the lab. So would that be the best way to do it? Not necessarily. So how did I go about doing it? Well, first and foremost, let me take you to 2 different training companies that I would, well, actually 3. Let me take you to 3 different training companies that I think are worth the time and effort to use. So we're going to take you to www.ine.com. If you did not already know this, I'm actually an instructor for Internet Network Expert. If you were to click inside the course library, and this is, INE doesn't pay me to talk this up, but in case you were curious, this is my course right here, and I'm going to just click no thanks, and this is me right there. So here's one of my courses on INE. So I am a instructor for them. So this is their All Access Pass. You can come through here, and if you purchase the All Access Pass, you can watch all these videos. They do have some different pricing models. If you are interested in doing that, you can go to Plans and Pricing, come down here, and then my personal recommendation would be to get the, I believe it's the Ultimate Access one, the 2-year plan, $1,500, 2 years. It gets you access to everything. It's a great program. I definitely would recommend that. This is what I currently have actually. So, and there you go. So if you want to get the latest newsletter, that's how you would get that. So that's INE. This is who I personally have used for all of my preparation from CCNA, CCNP, CCIE. INE is who I used. Now, this was getting me from my written exam through all of my lab preparation. So this is going through the advanced technology videos, the workbooks, learning the individual technologies, that type of stuff. So once I got through that piece, I went through INE's troubleshooting and lab workbooks. They have some really, really tough labs. Let me be the first to tell you, being a CCIE, their labs are extremely difficult. They are meant to make you think. Some of them are like, okay, how am I going to fix this? How am I going to go through this? And a lot of times, the very first time I took their full-scale labs, it took me 3 or 4 days to go through them because of how difficult they were, which showed me that I had some weaknesses in some areas, and I had to come over and go back over some material and bring myself back up to speed, or go a little deeper than I already had, stuff like that. So this is a good way for you to test your level of understanding as you're going through. So the other training vendor that I used, and this was prior to me working for INE, is www.ipexpert. And IP Expert, I use them for their full-scale labs. I will say from personal experience, IP Expert is closer to the full-scale lab or to the actual lab. Their full-scale labs are much closer in reality than what INE provides. And that's okay. You know, INE chooses not to go that route. They want to really test you on your stuff. So this is what I would recommend if you are looking for your doing specific configuration. You want to see what the actual lab might look like, a very close rendition of it. So that's what I would recommend you do. So let me click on route switch, and we're going to go to rack rental. And their rack rental is, I think I can look at it through here. This is a little out of date. They they say that, let's see here. Did they let me? I don't think they're going to let me see it. I would have to go to Proctor Labs in order to see it. But anyway, that's what they've got going on. So that is accurate to what they've got going on. But this is what I use for all of my final preparation. So I switched from INE to IP Expert. This was my personal call. So both are very good companies. I didn't use IP Expert for their workbooks or their videos. I use INE for all that. So my personal opinion, I believe INE does a better job of teaching the material to help you understand it. I believe IP Expert does a better job of full-scale labs. So, and I would recommend that you take a look at it from your perspective. Check out both, see which one you like more. I personally like Brian McGann from INE. I like his training style. And as I go through, this is what I chose to use INE, and INE was the very first one that I saw, and this was based off of a CCIE that I met back in late 2012, who basically said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Internet Network Expert?" And I said, "No, I haven't." And he goes, "If you haven't, check out Brian McGann. He's a great instructor." I said, "Oh, okay." So I Googled Brian McGann, and that's how I found INE, and then I started using INE. I actually used their free CCNA 640-802, I think was the exam number, for the CCNA back in 2012, 2013, when I got my CCNA. So I used their free CCNA bootcamp, and then once I had my CCNA, I progressed into INE CCNP preparation and went from there. And I've used them ever since. I'm actually using them for my CCIE security, and so that's where that's at. Now, this is what I use for training vendors. There's a third one who I'm familiar with, which is www.micronics. I'm not sure if I'm spelling it. And this is, if you're familiar with Narvik, this is Narvik. Nope, I don't know where I'm going, and I don't want you guys to see anything that you shouldn't be seeing. This is YouTube, not something else. So we're going to type in Narvik. I don't remember. I've only, let's see here. Is it Micronics Training? That's why it's not working. Okay, so that's Narvik. Narvik is a really good guy. I'm personally friends with him and Brian, both on Facebook. Good guys. Narvik does a good job. Terry Vinson works for Narvik. I shouldn't say for Narvik. He works with Narvik. So these are the boot camps that they do, and so they produce a lot of CCIEs as well. A friend of mine, I've had a couple friends of mine take that are in my chat group. Have taken Narvik's boot camps. Narvik does a really good job of explaining stuff. He's got a unique way of presenting the material, which I do like Narvik's training style. And these are some of his information he's got out there. So yeah, it's really up to you. I don't know if he does videos, honestly. I think he does courses, workbooks, rack rentals. Okay, he doesn't do videos from what I can tell. I know he's doing the Zero to Hero data center and security, which I'm actually going to be looking at his security here coming up. And so that's where that's at. So with that being said, that is the training style. That's where I took my training. So let me go over here to back to Cisco's website. And we scroll to the very bottom. And we're going to click on documentation here at the very, very bottom. If you decide to take the lab, which I hope you do, this is the landing page you're going to get in the lab. If you click on the Internet Explorer window, this is what you're going to get. And from here, you're gonna the search function has been disabled, so you my friends are gonna have to know how to navigate. So this is what I would recommend you do. I'm going to click on iOS and NXOS software. And I'm going to show you how to do this from just navigate. This is where I would recommend you spend the majority of your time. So INE and IP Expert provide video training, which is both. I've seen both. Both do a really good job of getting the technologies across. I just personally prefer INE over IP Expert. So you're going to want to do iOS, and then 15, and then 15.3, and then 15.3.1. So I'm going to let that open up another tab. I'm going to go back to support, and I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom, documentation, and I'm going to click on security, and then I'm going to click on firewalls, ASA, 5500X, and then 5500X series. I'm going to click on this guy. I'm going to come down here to, it really doesn't make much of a difference where you go. You just want to make sure that you find the configuration guides. Click on this guy, and the command references. And then from here in the software releases, 15.3 is going to be the highest end code you're going to find inside of the CCIE Security Lab and in the Route Switch Lab. And then this is where you would come through for your information. Now what I'm doing personally is I have all the way at the bottom, this is for iOS, so routers and whatnot. You see the security services and VPN. This is the command reference. I'm going to come down here to the configuration guides. Down a little bit farther. I would recommend you download this information. So down here at the very bottom, I opened up the security. Notice how it says library and not guide. So I'm going to expand this out real quick. So this is going to be, I downloaded all these PDFs. I have them all saved on my computer. And what I'm doing is I'm going through each one of these and I'm reading all the documentation. At the same point in time, I'm also, go all the way back to the top here, I'm also going through the documentation. I'm also going through the command references. So I go to the command references, I come down here to security, wherever security is hiding, security, and then you have all these security command references. So you can click on this guy here, and then you can say, okay, these are all the different aspects for this, download this book. Basically, the reason I go through this level of information is you really never know what they're going to throw at you inside of the CCIE lab. So I click on each one of these, I download them, I read through each one of the command references, so I know what each command does and the usage for it. So if you were to click on accounting through AAA local, so you click on here, click on accounting IP2 profile, it brings you to this particular thing, this particular command, and then all of its syntax descriptions. If you scroll down just a little bit, you get usage guides, and then how you would put the command into play. So it says here, use the AAA accounting command to enable and specify the method list for AAA accounting for IPsec sessions. AAA accounting command can be specific to an authentication method or common to all authentication methods, but not both at the same time. So this right here is what I refer to as a gotcha. You cannot use it at the same time. So you can't use it for all or one at the same time. It's one or the other. So if no method is specified, the list is common across authentication methods. So this right here gives you a list of capabilities for pre-shared key, a certificate, the extensible authentication protocol, the common list. So it gives you a lot of capabilities going through here, and then you have the next list, next one in the going through, and then how this would be applied and the usage for it. So I definitely would recommend you go through all of this information to actually break it down. The same thing goes with this. So this is for ASA. Now on ASA, you need to be on. Oh, here we go. So for the latest code is ASA 9.5, which is available in the latest version of Viral, which I just downloaded and have installed and running right now, currently inside of Viral. I'm using that just to test the features out. But if you are studying for your CCIE lab, you need to be looking at 8.2 and 8.4 and 8.6. 8.2 is the older code. There's some major syntax differences between 8.2 and 8.4. 8.4 is the latest version of code you can get on the non-X platform for ASA. When you go to the X platform for ASA, 8.6 is the lowest end code you can get for that. So when you hit 8.6 and above, you're on 5500X series ASAs. If you're on 8.4 and below, you're on non-X. So 5515, 5510s, 5525s, whatever version of ASA you happen to be on. If you go to the X version at 5515X, 5516X, 5585X, this is the platform, the base image you can get on. It goes 8.6 and above. So the latest one out right now is 9.5.1.201. There's the latest code you can get as far as I'm aware. So that's what I've done. I downloaded this guy and this guy. I also went to the command references, which is right here. And so what I downloaded is I got 8.2 and I got 9.0, I believe, is what I got. So this way here, it would be would allow you to go through the details of how to, learn how all the stuff works. Because at the end of the day, that's what you really need to know. So I downloaded all these guys and this guy, and so I'd be able to take a look at how to put this stuff into play. So this is going to give you a lot of capabilities. So once you could take a pick of however you want to approach the video versus the documentation, or books. Books are also a really good feature as well. So that takes me to my next step, is what book should you read? So I'm going to take you back to INE site. I'm going to take you to www.ine.com. Personally, to me, INE has a better book list than anybody else out there. So I'm going to hover over resources, and I'm going to come down here to where is it? It is. I'll click on resources? I think it's free V-seminars. This is the free V-seminars. You can watch these. These are just live recordings. This is not what I'm looking for. I am looking for the IEOC is another one. This is their online forum. Let me do this on my other screen. Let me pull up, grab this. This is the recommended reading list, resources. I don't know why it's not showing up, but let me just copy and paste this in here over here. These books, so resources, CCIE books. So that's why I'm looking at this. I'm like, why is this not showing up? But anyway, these books are great. I read through all these books for my route switch. If you're looking to do voice, there's a great start for voice. Security, I'm reading through all these books. So these books are really good in regards to what they offer in regards to content. You know, the all-in-one firewall, IPS, VPN, security, adaptive security appliance, and then VPN design, and then network security principles and architectures and all that good stuff. This is all information I would highly recommend you go through if you're looking for security. If you're looking for route switch, take a look at all these books. I read each one of these so that I'm very, very well versed in how the different technologies work. And that's, at the end of the day, that's what you really want to be good at, is the technologies. Because if you are just going to go through and do a bunch of labs and basically lab proof yourself, meaning you've gone through a bunch of labs, you know how to tackle anything that might be thrown at you, but if you don't know what a particular feature does inside of iOS, that's where I feel like you fall flat. Because there were some things in the lab on my first and second attempt that I had never seen before. And it wasn't because I didn't study hard enough. It's because you really never know what you're going to get once you sit down, until you sit down at the lab. You can cover as much material as you possibly can, but honestly, my first and second attempts, there were some things that I had never seen before, and I'm like, what is that? So on my third attempt, and I don't believe that the stuff that was that I saw in my second attempt is what cost me what made me fail. There were some things I couldn't get working. So my third attempt, I rectified all that. I said, okay, what is this and how does it work? So I went through and you're gonna have to do your own detective work. If you fail a test, you have to go say, okay, what was I not aware of? What didn't I know? And you have to bring yourself up in those areas. So that's what I would recommend you do there. So you absolutely have to read through the documentation and read books. The E in CCIE stands for expert. And it wasn't until I was in my third attempt that David Blair, who happens to be the CCIE proctor at Raleigh, RTP, He basically said, if you have a problem, this is a CCIE lab exam. I'm expecting you to bring me an expert level analysis as to why something is not working. Not an I believe, not an I think, not an it could be, but I want a definitive, this is what the problem is. And he basically he'll ask you qualifying questions. The guy is very sarcastic. Sarcastic meaning he will anything you say, unless you're direct on what you say, he'll accept that. But if you go to me, and he did this to me at my lab, this is how I know he is what he is. You get 2 sheets of paper when you take your lab. Both of them have your candidate ID number. Your candidate ID number is what you actually use to log into the CCIE application to take your test with. I said, so what do you want with these 2 sheets of paper? And he smiled at me and looked, and he goes, what does the board say? And I go, so I read the board, and he goes, so isn't that kind of what you think you should do? And I'm like, all right, fine. I thought it'd be, but he has to be that way. If you walk up to him and ask him, well, my frame relay connections aren't working, he's going to look at you and smile and say, well, I'm sorry to hear that. And that's all he's going to do. He's not going to give you any help. Unless you're asking for clarification on something, he will give you what he can. He can't do knowledge transfer. He can't point you in the right direction. He can help you zero in, maybe. I don't even think he can do that. But what he will do is he will clarify if he can. So, and the best way to answer those questions for you is the solution you're going to put in play going to affect something prior to what you've already done, or ahead of what you've already done, or what you haven't already touched? So really at the end of the day, the best solution, and I asked this question a while back, the best solution is a solution that doesn't break something you've already put in play, and that won't inhibit something you're going to be doing later on, doesn't break a restriction, and meets the requirements. That's the best solution. So those are those are the guidelines I followed. So that's pretty much where it sits. So that's pretty much all I can tell you. I mean, I can't give anything away on the test. I can't show you anything regarding how to go about doing it. That's something you have to do. So follow this is my method, and take a lot of notes. I lived in Wireshark and GNS3 for the longest period of time I could possibly think of. So I'm currently studying for my security CCIE. I have every intention in the world of producing some content on that when the time comes. However, I won't be doing that until I feel very, very comfortable on the platform to where I can actually deliver valuable content to you, and we'll see exactly how long that takes. It won't be like what I did with CCIE route switch. I've found myself not being 100% on top of my game on everything that I recorded. That's on me. So hopefully I'm going to rectify that coming up here. I have some train. I'm going to follow my own training and definitely go through this material. And in case you guys were wondering, I'm going to show you what my current security stuff looks like. So currently my viral topology, as you see, is pretty straightforward. 5 ASAs and 6 routers connected to an unmanaged switch. And this is what I'm using. I have a flat connection out of it so that I can run the ASDM. This is just to make sure that I'm comfortable on both the GUI and the command line. And this just gives me all the features available to ASA, although you won't be getting tested on this level of code. So, but that's pretty much where it sits. I mean, there's not a whole lot to go over. So that's pretty much it. At the end of the day, that's what I'm covering. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.